Alrighty, this is my Sprint 4 video report. So the first thing we worked on was the alarmables, or having multiple alarms. So in my alarmable now, we have I have just the 3 virtual alarms that the user implements. You have the registration data, struct, and then the array of the registration data. You create everything in the initializer when you first create the alarmable. And all of the registration stuff follows as normal. You just have to pass the ID all the way down. Then in the manager, when you are processing the alarms, or when you're putting the entry into the timeline, the alarm event is now an alarmable and an ID. So then when you're processing the alarms, you trigger an alarm with that ID. And you go through the switch statement of the ID and trigger the corresponding alarm function implemented by the user. So as a test of this, I have some different scenes. So yeah, we have the multiple alarm scene demo. What happens here is I have the frigate. It registers for 2 alarms in the constructor, alarm 0 and alarm 1. Alarm 0 makes the visibility go off every 3 seconds, so it's submitting draw registration and deregistration commands. The alarm 1 goes off every 8 seconds, and it toggles the ability to use the I key to go forward. And then if the space key is pressed, then the alarm 0 is deregistered. Also, the world plane has an alarm 0 that goes off at the first 3 seconds and makes it disappear, so I have multiple going on at the same time. And just to prove it, I have, like, here's where you are registering for the things. So if we run this, come on, any day. Should have built before recording, sorry. Alright, so we go around, and in 3 seconds, the everything will disappear. 3 more seconds, the thing will come back on, and then at the 8-second mark, I can no longer go forward. So I'm pressing the I key, and I can't go forward. And then coming up now, in a second, it will let me go forward again. So testing the multiple alarms, multiple things happening at the same time, everything seems to be working. Right. So next is the keyboard input event management. So how to show this? I have another scene demo that shows this off. Basically the scene now has keyboard event manager. The keyboard event manager, its main purpose is to have the list of the map of keys paired to single key event managers, right here. And then the single key event manager, sorry if you can hear the background noise, yeah, sorry, the single key event manager has the maps, 2 lists, the collection, the press, the ones that are the inputables that are watching for a key press, and then the inputables are watching for the key release of this particular key. So then in the process key event, which is called from the keyboard event manager, you do the check if the key has been pressed up or down, and then you distribute the key press call or key release to all of the inputables in this, in the list. Oof, okay. So just to show this in action, we have the demo scene, which is the input demo scene. Basically the frigate registers for the key T press and T release. And prints when those are pressed and released. The world plane does the same thing with T and press and release, but you can press D and R to try to deregister and register the T press event. So here we have all the submitting key registration for both of those. So if we run this, going around, let me make sure you can see the output window. So when I press the T key, press down, I get frigate T key press and world plane T key press. When I release, I get the same thing on both of them. So that is working. If I press R and try to register the T key press to the world plane again, I get the error. This has already been registered. The world plane is already watching for that. So we go back here, and if I press D, so the D key was pressed, the T press event has been deregistered. So now if I press T, only the frigate prints the T key press because the world plane has no longer watching for that. When I release, you still do both. And then if I press R, I re-register for the T key press event. And so if I press T again, I get both of them have the notification, I guess. Yeah. So just go in there, for the world plane, it's just when you do this key press or key release, you do this debug message. So hopefully that's sufficient. I didn't go into all the details, but it's kind of the overview of it and proof that it works. Next is the game object life cycle. So now game objects have a little bit more meat to them. Let me find game object. We have the submit entry and exit, and then the virtual where the user defines stuff, and then the actual connecting to the scene for the delayed registration. We also have the commands. So entry command, where when you execute, you connect to the scene, and exit command, where you execute, you disconnect from the scene. So how does this work? Let's load up the lifecycle scene demo. No, I want this one. So how does this demo work? Oh, I forgot to put the description. But anyways, it just has the bullet factory and the bullet object pool. So when this frigate, it registers for a key press event, and when the key is pressed, you go to the bullet factory, you create the bullet. You get a bullet from the bullet pool, you initialize it, and then you submit for entry, which goes through the whole process of the registration broker delayed registration. Eventually, you go through all of that, and you get back to connect to scene, which actually calls scene entry, which is what the user defines. So down here in the bullet, when the bullet is spawned and it enters the scene, right here, scene entry, this is where you register for everything. So right now I also have 2 alarms that happen when the bullet is spawned, and they both are 3 seconds, so they should both activate on the same frame, because I'm trying to test the double deregistration, and if it should only do it once, even if on the same frame you get the call to the submit deregister. So alarm 0 and alarm 1 both do the same thing. They both submit to exit the scene, just to double check that it doesn't, nothing breaks. So if we go into this scene, we have the frigate. When I press the space key, you spawn a bullet that goes straight forward for 3 seconds, and then it doesn't get deleted, it goes back to the object pool, but it does deregister from the scene. And both of those alarms are going off the same time at the 3 second mark, and nothing is going wrong. So I can do a ton of stuff like so. Right, and then if I close everything out, I do not get any leaks, and the, recycling pool and all that stuff doesn't mess anything up. Okay, next thing. This is a long video, I'm sorry. Next thing is the camera manager. So now, let me find my scene class. Camera manager is a local manager of the scene. And if I go up to camera manager, you can see that it is clearly no longer a singleton. Right, so the scene has the pass-throughs to get current camera and set current camera. So you can pass through to those, and then in each of the objects, when you want to draw something, you have to go through the scene manager, get current scene, get current camera. So all of that works. I don't have any special camera going on right now, the God camera, or like following the frigate around. I just have this simple setup for now. And then the time manager is right here. Is a singleton. If we look how it relates to Gemini, in Gemini we have get time as private now, and I think this is how this is supposed to work. Every frame in update in Gemini, you go through the time manager attorney, and you process time. So right now we're just passing in the system time and setting that to the current time. And then all of the objects that need to access the time go through the time manager singleton now instead. And we'll be able to do some more shenanigans later with this. I think the only thing that actually used get time was the alarmable manager. So here you can see that it's using the time manager get time instead of Gemini get time. I think that's sufficient for that. I do not have a game. I know I'm not supposed to wait on it, but I focus on kind of dividing my testing scenes into these nice little different tests. So I wanted to just separate everything out, and then now I'll work on putting it all back into a, actual game scene. Okay, I think that just about covers everything. Sorry for the long video. I will stop now.